So 9 months ago, I was lying alone on an operating room table, about to undergo a surgery that I didn't even need. Now, the surgery wasn't to save my life or enhance it in any way. It was to help save a complete stranger's. Now, when most people hear that, they say the same thing. I could never do that. Why would you do that? Why would you put your life on the line for someone that you don't even know? And I get it, because up until this point, my kindness was reserved for my friends, for my family, those who agreed with me. What about everyone else? Somewhere along the way, kindness has become selective. We've started reserving our empathy for those that agree with us, that benefit us, and those that resemble us. And we're withdrawing faster from those who don't. You can see it everywhere, especially online. A photo you don't like, a post you disagree with, a stranger reduced to an article or a headline, and with one tap, you decide who deserves your kindness and who doesn't. A recent study found that nearly half of US teens and over 40% of adults have experienced online harassment or cyberbullying. This casual cruelty doesn't just stay on screen. It spills into the real world, and it shapes how we form opinions on others. But this is where I think we have a choice. In that moment between what we know about someone and what we think we know about them, we have to consciously choose what we lead with. Now, I have not always led with love. I've judged out of hurt instead of curiosity. I've made mistakes, many of them. But what I learned is kindness isn't always about getting it right. It's about willing to try again. This idea kept tugging at me after I turned 27. It became clearer when my friend's dad decided to donate his kidney to a stranger. I remember thinking, why would you do that? Why would you give a literal piece of yourself to someone that you don't even know? And then something shifted. Maybe kindness isn't measured in what we're willing to protect or preserve. Maybe it's measured in what we're willing to give. So I started researching kidney donation. I filled out the forms, I did the tests, 20 tubes of blood, a 24-hour urine sample I had to carry around like a science experiment. And at every step, someone tried to talk me out of it. They reminded me of the risks, the recovery, the small but very real chance that I might not wake up after surgery. But none of it changed my mind. Then came the call. I had matched with a teenage girl on the East Coast, a face that I didn't even know of, a name that I'd never even heard. The surgery was scheduled for 1 week later. So on the morning of May 5th, I woke up, walked into Ascension Seton Hospital in Austin, Texas, gave my surgeon a fist bump, rang the donor bell, and kissed my very supportive husband goodbye. As I was getting wheeled in, lying under all those bright lights, I remember having one very quiet thought that I hadn't shared with anyone else. What if everyone warning me was right? What if I was making a mistake? It wasn't panic, it wasn't fear. It was just the weight of choosing something completely irreversible. But then it was lights out. Here's what most people don't think about when they hear this story. The surgery wasn't just about her and I. It was about the anesthesiologist who calmed my nerves before I was wheeled in. It was about the nurse who checked and double-checked everything. The surgeon who had trained her whole life so that this moment could be safe. And beyond that room, the driver who took my kidney in a cooler to the airport, the pilot who carried it across the country. Strangers all helping strangers. All connected by one decision made months earlier. Now, when I woke up after surgery, I was exhausted, emotional, worried. But above my own health, I was thinking about her. Had she woken up? Did the kidney take? Was she doing okay? But more than anything, I felt connected to her and to the quiet truth that we're all more connected than we realize. That connection lingered, and it started to change how I think about kindness. Now, I'm not going to pretend that everyone needs to donate a kidney to a stranger to solve all of the world's problems. But embracing a mindset of marginal personal sacrifice, like in some ways, aligning someone else's life alongside your own, now that's the attitude that can change things. Kindness doesn't have to be dramatic or life-saving to matter. In fact, it can be the smallest, quietest moments that can carry the most weight, especially when shared and especially when repeated. That's how a ripple begins to form. Every ripple starts the same way, with one choice, one act. It can be as small as smiling at a stranger, holding the door open for them, helping them with their luggage when it would be easier to walk away. So I want to invite you into a moment like that. I want you to notice somebody in the room that you don't know. Now, that person didn't just magically appear here today. They woke up this morning, they looked in the mirror, they opened their wardrobe, they put on something that made them feel good and feel confident, and they walked into this room. They could be struggling in the valley of life, or they could be enjoying the mountain view. But you have the opportunity to bring them joy. You have that opportunity every day with everyone you come across, because you never know what people are holding on to, what they're struggling with. And you can have a second to be part of their day, part of their life. So the question isn't, can I make a difference? It's, will I? Thank you.